Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. Um, I'll go over some college football news since the season's over, that's been much news as far as that goes, and there's something I've been meaning to get to. So for college football fans, as you know, Tennessee the other week hired the UCF athletic director as their new AD, and then they hired UCF's coach John Heupel as their new head coach. So last time they went with an inside hire. They hired a bunch of former Tennessee players, stuff like that. But now they hire an outside guy here. This is what you call, let's say we can go 2 for 2 hire. AD and coach both had success in one place. So now let's see if it was the school that we were with that we were able to have success, or if it's us and we can rebuild another program. I think they're going to find out that it was the first option, and it's going to be the fact that it was the school and not them. One thing that I will give Coach Heupel, in the part where he could have success, is that he knows Florida very well from being head coach at UCF, so that can help with recruiting. Because if you can steal a lot of players from Florida, that's gonna bode very well for your team, especially in the SEC. Um, the other thing I will admit that so far he has a good track record of is that he's shown he can have success with a lot of quarterbacks. He got Mackenzie Milton, and then he eventually had Dylan Gabriel from this past couple seasons, where he's basically a top 10 quarterback, but because UCF was 6-4 to end the year, that's why he didn't get much recognition. But he was a very good quarterback, and that'll be something that Tennessee desperately needs because they haven't had a very, very good quarterback since maybe Dobbs back in 2016. But even that's a stretch. It's been a long time since they had a legit quarterback. So maybe Apple can find one for them there. But my problem with the hire, though, is that you could have hired a Hugh Freeze, who's been in the SEC, coached Ole Miss, and then now he's taken liberty from a program that no one cares or knows about to, they went 9-1 last year, defeating a top 15 team in Coastal Carolina to end the season. It's they're that legit. So, and they beat 2 ACC teams in the process. I know the rest of their schedule is weak, but they beat 2 ACC teams in the process of doing that. So Hugh Freeze has shown he can still coach and coach at a high level. I know he has a little bit of baggage, but hey, he knows the SEC. Then he could have gone for Gus Malzahn, who just got let go to Auburn. Say all you want about why he got fired from Auburn, but at least that you're gonna be somewhat competitive in the conference because Gus Malzahn, he had 1-7-6 record, but a lot of the other times it was more 9-4s, 10-3s, 11-2, so stuff like that. So they're at least somewhat relevant. So I feel like Gus Malzahn could at least provided that. Or then you could go bring back James Franklin maybe from Penn State, since Penn State had a horrible year. That could have been years okay, coming off your world, just come over to our high school back in the SEC and you'll be a relevant coach here in this. Or they could have gone a different G5 coach route and go with Luke Fickell, who shows that he took over a Cincinnati program that was bad. Then they ended up in the top 25 last year, and then obviously this year they're in the Year 6 bowl game. So I feel like that was the route they should have gone. Because my problem with I'm not sure, maybe Heupel could do this, but I'm not sure, is that he was an assistant back when Scott Frost was the head coach at UCF. And then when Frost left for Nebraska, Heupel takes over an already good situation. And obviously he doesn't keep it going with a undefeated season per se, but he keeps it going with them being relevant and pretty good. So that's kind of easy to coach versus him coaching a complete rebuild, which is what Tennessee's going to be, is a complete rebuild. So I'm just not sure if he's fit to coach. Like I said, some coaches are meant to coach rebuilds, some coaches are meant to coach contenders, and some can even do both. But we're about to see what he is. So as you know, there's going to be a lot of quarterback movement, and we already saw it with the Stafford and Goff trade. So what I did is I went through the free agents and potential free agents for the quarterbacks and picked a spot where I think they should or could go. So this is a top 10 list of quarterbacks. They're on the free that should be or are going to be on the free agent market. So let's get started with the biggest free agent, and that'll be Dak Prescott. Now, in the end, I think both sides can finally work out a deal. But worst case scenario, they maybe use another franchise tag on him, or well, I guess in this case, they let him play out the market and see what teams are willing to pay for him. Um, if the Cowboys had a top 3 pick or something like that, then I can see them going after Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. But at the 10th pick, I think drafting a quarterback would be a mistake at that point. So, and I feel like obviously Andy Dalton's nice, but he's not a starter. So that's why I feel like if I'm Cowboys, I would obviously I don't want to give in to what Dak wants as far as Dak's money goes because I feel like that would be overpaying. But it's like you got to keep in all costs because you don't want to see Dak Prescott go to the Washington football team within your own division and have success there. So that's why I feel like they're gonna in the end keep Dak Prescott. Next is Jameis Winston. Now, many of you think he should resign with the Saints, and I don't blame you. Being with Sean Payton is always a smart move and that good roster. But there are 2 main issues if he returns. One is salary. With the Saints' huge cap issues, he's not going to get a lot of money. Now, I guess he showed this past offseason that he doesn't care about money by becoming a backup in New Orleans for $1 million. But it's one thing to take a pay cut for just 1 year, but it's another thing to take a pay cut decrease for a couple years versus the other team so they can offer more money. And then also, he's going to have to compete to be. He's not going to be the automatic star like he would for the Colts right now or something. He's going to have to compete with Taysom Hill. I know you guys, so a lot of people think otherwise, but it's going to be an open competition. Now, whether he wins or not, he probably would. I'm not sure, but he. If I were him, it's just like I can go to like the Colts, for example, where they can pay me more than the Saints can, and I can be the automatic starter. And their roster, while it's not exactly the Saints' loaded roster, it's still really good. Got to the playoffs last year, and they could become a contender very easily. I'm with a pretty good head coach, not Sean Payton level, but pretty good head coach. It's just like that's a perfect situation to be in. And also, you're going to be in a pretty easy division with no more Deshaun Watson and the Jaguars. While Meyer and Trevor Lawrence might be forced in the future, are not going to be in the immediate future. So then all you have is Tennessee to worry about, which obviously they don't have a defense, so that's going to make you look pretty good. So I think he should go to the Colts. Now, of course, I can see maybe him going to the Bears as well, but I just don't see him wanting to be in the same division as Aaron Rodgers and being second best. So I feel like the Colts would be the best situation for him if he doesn't resign with the Saints, which I actually think he might not, especially since the Colts missed out on Matthew Stafford, and I doubt they're going to get Deshaun Watson, who's in their own division. Third is Mitchell Trubisky. I actually have him going to the Broncos. Now you may be thinking, what? But hear me out. Fangio was in Chicago and Trubisky became a QB there, so there's familiarity there. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come and start automatically, but I am saying he's going to be what just happened to him last year when the Bears traded for Nick Foles and they brought him in to try to compete and make Trubisky work to be the starter, basically become better. That's why I feel like it's going to happen here. It's going to come in, compete with Drew Lock, try to make Drew Lock better. If Drew Lock earns that starting job, great. If not, then they can go Trubisky for a year or two and then go from there. Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is a pretty interesting one. I have him going to the Patriots. I've heard that they like Mac Jones, but the problem is even if they go quarterback in the draft route, any of them are not going to be ready to start day one, in my opinion. So that's where you can bring this veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick starting for the full year. And you know Belichick, he loves and prefers veterans. That's why they signed Cam Newton instead of going with Jarrett Stidham. So I feel like Fitzpatrick makes all the sense in the world here. Andy Dalton. Now, you may be thinking maybe someplace like Washington or something like that, but it's just like, I feel like he's actually going to re-sign with the Cowboys, which is his hometown team. And I feel like he kind of, maybe he realizes at this point, yeah, I like, despite what I was able to do this past season, it's like, I realize I am a backup, so might as well be a backup on my hometown and favorite team that could potentially contend soon. And then also, if Dak's not 100% healthy to go by the beginning of next season, then Dalton can obviously start a few games and get the ball rolling there. So Dalton, Cowboys 6, Cam Newton. I got him going to the Texans. So if the Texans don't trade for a QB by the draft, and therefore they don't draft a QB in the first round, then they need a backup plan with Watson holding out. That's where I feel like they can bring Cam Newton in. Since Cole has experience with working with Lamar running quarterback, he can run similar plays for Cam. And Cam has admitted that he's not ready to be a backup quite yet, even though that's what I think he is. But this is a chance that he, unless New England offers him another 1 year deal, he can get a 1 year starter deal here while they figure out the quarterback situation for the future. And Cam Newton will at least work with some weapons, unlike Patriots, where he had no weapons to work with. Next is Tyrod Taylor. I have him going to the New Orleans Saints. If they lose Jameis Winston, which obviously I predicted they would, they need that backup plan. And then between Tyler Taylor and Taysom Hill would start, but with his injury history, it's just always good to have that reliable backup, which Tyler Taylor obviously is. And obviously, this is assuming he's 100% recovered from his puncture line, which I think he will be. He also would come at a cheap price, in my opinion, so that way the Saints can afford him. And it's just good to have a backup quarterback that's similar to the starting quarterback. So Tyler Taylor is a mobile type of quarterback. Not to the degree Taysom Hill is, but is mobile enough to kind of like where they can run similar offense instead of having throwing in a pocket passer if Taysom were to get injured, completely changing the offense. That's the route I'd go. Next, you got Jacoby Brissett. I got him going to Tampa Bay. Now, he has ties to New England, so if they don't go Fitzpatrick and they don't go Cam Newton, he could easily go back to Bill Belichick. But I feel Brady, he has 1 more year on his contract, and I feel like, especially if they could win the Super Bowl, not this year, but next year, to finish off, I feel like it's a good way for him to just retire. And then, therefore, Brissett can come in. He chills for 1 year under Brady, like I just mentioned. And then when Brady leaves, he gets to take over for a good head coach, assuming he stays there. And having a loaded roster and a good defense, try to get another shot to prove that he could become a starter. Now, I think he has best chance with Indy that 1 year and blew it, but we shall see. Next is Joe Flacco. I haven't been going to the Dolphins. Here's why. I think this makes perfect sense. For Miami, you get an experienced Super Bowl champ veteran Flacco, like you had in Fitzmagic, but it's also someone where he's clearly, at this stage in his career, a backup, and not that as productive. So Tua doesn't have to look over his shoulder wondering if he's going to get benched for him, because Flacco's not Fitzmagic at this point. So that's why I feel like he should go to Miami. I mean, he could resign with the Jets. He could, but I would go more with Miami, a better team. I would do that for him. Last but not least, it's hard to decide who that 10th one is because you can go multiple different rounds here. But I decided I went ahead and go with Nick Mullins, especially since he started a lot of games this past year with Jimmy G being out. But and this one's a very hard one for me to predict. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chargers. And here's why. Because I feel like at this point he knows, we all know he's a backup. I mean, he had a chance with Jimmy G out trying to prove that he could potentially come start. He did some good things here and there, but I feel like the fact that he got replaced at some point with C.J. Beathard, the third string, tells you a lot, all you need to know. But yeah, I feel like he can go to LA Chargers, still be in California. He can go sit behind a young QB, kind of mentor him a little bit, even though Mullen's not that old. But he's been in the league long enough where you can kind of mentor him. And then if, for some reason, Herbert goes in, then he goes into a good roster and a good head coach in a good situation. I feel like that's better than going to be the backup of Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and be on a bad team. I feel like that won't do many favors. But yeah, so that's my prediction there. So Nick Mullins, Chargers; Joe Flacco, Dolphins; Jacoby Brissett, Buccaneers; Tyrod Taylor, Saints; Cam Newton, Texans; Andy Dalton, Cowboys; Ryan Fitzpatrick, Patriots; Mitchell Trubisky, Broncos; Jameis Winston, Colts; and then Dak Prescott, Cowboys. So those are my predictions there. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and tell everyone about me. Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day.